What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And I came across some nonsense today that I'm trying. I'm really trying to make sense out of this because what I don't understand is how a person who is paid to speak ill of Donald Trump and all of his supporters and voters and really have no filter. He's allowed to go in any direction he would want to go in concerning, degrading Donald Trump and all of his supporters. Can pretty much say whatever you want, whatever pops up in your head while you're on the air. You can call him Nazis, you can call him racist, white supremacists. You can compare all of his policies and his choices to Hitler and all of those things and get away with it. Never challenged, never someone pulling you into the office after you get off there. Could you come here for a minute? Let me talk to you. What are you doing? I think I just watched you compare Donald Trump's immigration policy to concentration camps, or you just said that Donald Trump is equivalent to Hitler or Mussolini or some of those guys. You can't do that on the air. I need you to go back out there and apologize. I need you to walk it back, okay? But yet nobody has ever done that to this person that we're about to listen to, which is none other than Chris Matthews. So Chris Matthews made an analogy about Bernie Sanders. Now, we already know all of the liberals, or I wouldn't even say liberals, all of the Democrats and a lot of the liberal media, they see the writing on the wall when it comes down to Bernie Sanders, the monster that they created, the one that now is pushing socialism, which blows my mind because this man should know more about the effects of socialism than many other people, being of Jewish heritage. Socialism, which is kind of like a light version of communism. We see what that led to, the persecution of many people. And they're always talking about a dictatorship and a totalitarian society and regime that Donald Trump has. And yet he seems to want to walk down that path. Kind of making comments about Fidel Castro and some of his choices and downplaying his straight torture and persecution of anybody who resisted the regime. But not really getting a lot of pushback about that. Now, of course, if President Trump says something like, well, actually Vladimir Putin is a strong leader. You're a Putin sympathizer. You must love Putin. You know what? I bet you're really a communist. I bet you deep down inside you're a Putin puppet. So they can get on TV and say all of that about Trump if he even appears to point out a positive attribute about some of the people who are our enemies and we're trying to repair the relationship. If he says Kim Jong-un seems to be making progress in talks and I think he really wants to, be integrated into the world stage and act like he got some sense. All of a sudden, he loves dictators. He props them up. Yeah, he rubs elbows with them. But yet Bernie Sanders makes his comment about Fidel Castro. And I guess when he was challenged, he said that, well, let's look at one of the positives. Fidel Castro made sure that everybody learned how to read once he got into power, which he, of course, didn't mention that. He made them read propaganda about, socialism and stuff like that, messing with their mind. Yeah, he didn't say that. He just said they learn how to read. Okay. So with that being said, you would think Sanders would have a better grip on the impact and effects of socialism. Now, the Democrats, they realize that's a dying message when it comes down to the populace of America. We're not talking about the college kids who don't have real responsibilities and have become so angry about America and capitalism due to what? Identity politics, liberal media talking about America isn't that great and, all this nationalism is driven by hate and division. And then you got the Democrats calling everybody who loves our country a nationalist. Oh, no, not just a nationalist, white nationalist, a racist, a white supremacist, all the stuff that they've been drilling down and putting in the heads of all of these young, impressionable people and some older ones. And now you get them embracing someone like Bernie Sanders. And you wonder why. Now you're trying to backtrack. Now you're sitting back doing the moonwalk. So that's what they're trying to do. And Chris Matthews is seeing the writing on the wall. He's like, oh, I don't want another 4 years of Trump. But if you throw Bernie out there compared to Trump, and people say, whoa, I might not like Trump, but socialism versus capitalism, I'm going to go ahead and vote for Trump, or I'm not going to vote. So therefore, they are now starting to try to sway people away from Bernie Sanders, because the ultimate goal is to beat Trump. They just didn't expect someone like Bernie Sanders to actually rise to the top. Okay, well, what do you expect? When you've been making folks angry for 3.5, almost 4 years now about how America sucks, and they're ready for such a drastic change that you got a lot of people willing to overcompensate for all of this anger and division that the media and the Democrats have been pumping into our society. So now you got a problem that you're trying to fix as an afterthought. So now you're getting all of these quote unquote liberal pundits coming on, and they're attacking Bernie just like they was attacking Trump. But Chris Matthews went a little too far by making a comparison to something that took place in World War II, which is the Nazis invading France. And what did he have to do? Come out and say, I'm sorry. So let's listen to this.
Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews back in Washington. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has big momentum now after a commanding win in Saturday's Nevada caucus. Now with just 5 days until the South Carolina primary, Sanders is looking to build an even bigger lead as the race heads to Super Tuesday a week from tomorrow, while his moderate rivals try to elbow each other out.
I see.
And tonight there's a new NBC poll showing a very tight race between Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders down in South Carolina.
Creepy, sleepy, sloppy. So Creepy, sleepy, sloppy, the one that said he got arrested for trying to help out Nelson Mandela, arrested 30 years ago. I did some time in a South African prison. You mean that guy? So it's a tight race between Bernie and that dude? Okay, let's see what's happening.
Much more on that in a moment.
Okay.
Before getting into tonight's news, I want to say something quite important and personal. As I watched the one-sided results of Saturday's Democratic caucus in Nevada, I reached for an historical analogy and used a bad one. I was wrong to refer to an event from the last days, or actually the first days of World War II. Senator Sanders, I'm sorry for comparing anything from that tragic era in which so many suffered, especially the Jewish people.
Now, here's my problem with this sorry apology, okay? The problem is the left-wing media have created this type of problem by allowing them to get away with saying these things about Trump so much and so often that it's second nature. This right here, if I was Chris, I would blame all of my producers. I would blame the people who own the company. I'd be like, they gave me the green light to say these things about Trump so much that this was second nature. I thought the playbook was anytime we want to discredit someone, we go to our talking points. Russia, Nazis, Hitler, white supremacy, those things. So it's not really my fault if I was a rational thinking person that used practical analogies, analogies that you can actually look at and say, yeah, well, I can see that, versus these extreme analogies. He probably would have pumped the brakes before he would have just went into that analogy. But he's so used to doing that because he's not been checked by his leadership, by other people in the media, or by the Democrats or anybody else. It just comes right off the tongue. It rolls right off the tongue. He's rolling it right off the tongue. And so now all of a sudden it hit him like, oh crap, I actually did that about a Democrat/socialist, but that's going to look real bad. And they sent this butt back out here to give a sorry apology. Let's continue hearing this.
To an electoral result in which you were the well-deserved winner.
Well, wait a minute. So he's a well-deserved winner that doesn't warrant that type of analogy or criticism, but Trump wasn't. So Trump wins, and he's an illegitimate president. Trump wins, and the Russians helped him win. See, he didn't really legitimately win this. Therefore, we have the right to just completely trash him and make these comparisons to the worst people in history, and yet not once think about how this degrades and downplays and minimizes the suffering of the Jews, the Nazis, I mean, not the Nazis, but the Jews and everybody else, even things like slavery, when they compare Trump to all of the stuff that the worst things in history, they compare him to that. And what it does is it slaps people in the face, people who went through real problems, all those people who fought for civil rights and was getting sprayed by water hoses, bitten by dogs, hung, lynched, all of those things. And then you just throw stuff out there about Trump being a Nazi, a KKK leader, and all of these things in the White House, even though none of those things happened, even though he did not legalize hanging black people. He didn't do any of those things. But yet you could throw him out there, Chris, and never once stop to think, wow, that was extreme. Maybe I need to say, well, Mr. Trump, I'm sorry that I called you a Nazi, racist, white supremacist, KKK member and compared you to Hitler, and also threw all of your supporters under the bus without taking in consideration the history behind the Jews and the Nazis and black people and slavery and you name it, whatever else we then threw into to that big gumbo salad of identity politics. But now all of a sudden he's sensitive to that. Let's listen to some more.
It's going to be a hard-fought, heated campaign of ideas.
Okay.
In the days and weeks and months ahead, I will strive to do a better job myself of elevating the political discussion.
Yeah, I bet you will. So, when it comes to the Democrats, it's going to be a hard-fought, heated debate of ideas. But when it comes to Trump, he doesn't have real ideas. This is nothing more than dog whistles, stuff that normal, I guess, liberal, moral people like Chris and the rest of them, they don't hear that stuff. This whistle is only designed for those white nationalists, those uppity back heel, 1-2 having folks, or either the rich, the real. So the bottom line is this dog whistle that, they always talk about Trump whenever he talks about policies and stuff. It's a dog whistle. It incites people to come out and be divisive. It incites people to come out and do things like, I guess, attack folks. I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, everybody on the left has been doing that stuff after hearing all the rhetoric from them. But even though anything happens seems to be out of the norm, it's because of Trump's divisiveness, because those aren't real policies that make sense. That is simply him being divisive. It's simply him being racist. And his supporters, they hear that dog whistle. What? Shh, y'all don't hear that? Oh, we got to unite under white supremacy. Now, the regular ear can't hear it. Us white supremacists hear it, though. Let's continue.
Congratulations, by the way, to you, Senator Sanders, and to your supporters on a tremendous win down in Nevada.
Well, wait a minute. So half of the country that voted for Trump, we don't get a congratulations. Trump doesn't get a congratulations. Nobody in the left-wing media or Chris, who spends most of his time bashing Trump, doesn't get a chance to say, well, all right, I spent 3.5 years calling Trump everything that I could under the sun and was unchecked or made to apologize by my leaders, okay? And I've also thrown all of his supporters and voters under the bus with him as if they were also white supremacists and KKK members and stuff like that. But I want to say I'm sorry. And I want to let you all know that moving forward, I'm open to both parties debating. And you want a fair election. And I want to congratulate President Trump on that and all of his voters. Why isn't Chris doing that? Therefore, you know that this apology was forced and is garbage. And I'm here to let you know. Okay? All right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's right. I'm going to make sure he takes it nice and sour. No sugar or nothing. It's going to be sour, like just sucking on a lemon. I want his whole face to implode because it's that sour. That's what I want to see. His whole face is too sour. Now, you've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. I didn't want to have to do that to Chris, but he brought that on himself. Now, anyway, don't forget, check me out every Wednesday night, 7:30 live in Kevin's Corner on Facebook, YouTube, and on my radio blog talk show. Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, and the notification button. Make sure you're still subscribed. Make sure that your notifications are set for all. And check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. Put Kevin in the promo code, and you'll get a 20% discount. The link is below. And also, if you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link below this video to do that as well. And follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we'll see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. God bless.